That too. So before we do that, though, I do want to talk to you because I had a kind of a topic of interest that I wanted to kind of bring up involving the coronavirus. We haven't actually talked about the coronavirus at all on this program yet, which I'm super surprised.
I am kind of surprised myself.
I know, right? But recently, and I saw this today, people are, I mean, this has been happening over the past week or so, but the stock market has been really plummeting, almost as bad since the financial crisis a couple of years ago. And people are saying, oh, it's because of the coronavirus and stuff. And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And then I realized, I was like, I don't know if I entirely understand why. I think I understand some mechanics of it, but I figured, hey, you follow this stuff. Maybe you could kind of give an explanation of like how would like the coronavirus affect people's trust in like the stock market and these kinds of, because the thing with the stock market, right? You know this is that how people are convinced of investments that are deemed to be good even though they're not is because of the same kind of bullshit tactics that other kinds of organizations, religious MLMs or otherwise can use. And so, I figured maybe there's some intersection here that we can kind of tie this in, right?
There's a lot of theories about economics and finance and investing that often say the rational investor. Mm-hmm. A lot of shows will prove that a lot of people aren't rational. And sometimes the stock market is a perfect example of a herd mentality, and people do things because of the herd. And if 5 or 10% of the population thinks that a lot of people are going to start selling their investments in the stock market, then they will go out and sell because they don't want to sell after it goes down. They want to sell before everybody. So there's this kind of self-fulfilling. It's like runs on the bank.
Yeah.
If you think your money won't be at the bank, you are more likely to go to the bank and take your money out. And that's why we have bank insurance to kind of prevent that kind of thing. But if people think that the stock market's going to go down, them going and selling creates that downward pressure that they were concerned about. And so sometimes the market will have really big swings on emotion.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think people are selling because of the coronavirus per se, but they're concerned that companies might have trouble getting shipments of parts or products from China because China makes a lot of our products and devices, cell phones, cameras, and if companies sell a little bit less or have to delay sales because they don't have the product in, the revenue goes down and a lot of their fixed expenses might be the same. So a company that was making profit now suddenly isn't making profit, and in the eyes of the market, that company becomes riskier or less valuable. So it can be a self-fulfilling feedback loop. Now the question is, after a week or so of terrible market drops, do we get to peak corona?
Peak corona.
Peak corona, like peak virus, is that the most people or the rate of change of infections starts to slow down. And that means you have a good chance of having it under containment. And that if that happens, then 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, everything goes back to normal and the stock market could turn around and run right back up. The thing is, I don't know. I don't know what the market's going to do, and I love, like last year as an example, there were people that predicted the stock market would make 5, 10, 20%, -5, -20. It made 31%, and probably 99% of the people that made a guess on what the market was going to do in 2019 were wrong. It's really, really hard to know the future. So one of the philosophies I follow is a very buy and hold strategy where you kind of ignore what's going on in the news.
And that's interesting, though, because like the news is what influences the markets.
Yeah, in the short term.
Right?
And like I tell people, if you look at the last 120 years of stock market data, we've had World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, Vietnam, Korea, George Bush, all these things, all these terrible things, and yet the market still averaged a 10% return through and around or despite all of that stuff. So is today's world wildly, dramatically worse than what it was in the 60s when we were in Vietnam? I don't know, but I go forward on the assumption that even when there's big market drops, that it comes back. And so if you're a long-term investor, when the market falls 15, 20%, I consider it to be on sale and you should buy more. But not everybody sees it that way. That's okay.
Yeah, and like when stuff like this comes out with the coronavirus and stuff, there are people who take advantage of kind of these opportunities and try to say that, oh, you should buy this product because they're selling this product. So like one example of this is like foodstuffs. There's a lot of foodstuffs that are going up right now because there are certain people who are sponsored by these things, or they put out these ads or whatever and say like, oh, just in case you want to do, and like, to me, that's totally exploitation of people's money and stuff. I mean, like, it's nothing new. Like, I mean, like, I remember when the 2012 Mayan stuff was happening, there was more people buying, like, shelters and stuff like that. And so, like, that kind of industry goes up. So, like, it's interesting because I follow these kind of conspiracies and stuff, and I see there's links to this sometimes. Like, sometimes this stuff gets more overblown so that people can profit off of this stuff.
Yeah, profit is a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
We've seen scenes in other countries and even in like Italy and China where store shelves are empty. And sometimes it is one set of shelves are empty and the shelves on the other side are full, but the news people take a picture of the empty shelves because taking a picture of a normally fully stocked shelf, what is that? And it's not a report that says, oh, the store only has 90% of what it would normally have. They show the one section that's empty because that makes the news, and it kind of creates a little fear and a little spook, and then people watch the news even more.
Even though as of right now, at least here, if you're watching from the United States, as of February 28th, average American is good. Like, I mean, it's increasing, but I think most people who have been looking into it saying, like, it's so far it's okay.
Well, and the thing, like, it's weird. There's certain things that as a country don't bother us or don't bother us enough. As an example, young kids picking up guns and shooting themselves or a sibling.
Yeah.
People die from the flu in the tens of thousands every year in the United States, but we're used to that.
Yeah.
So this is something new that new is scary. New is different. And is it worse than the flu? I think so. I'm not an expert in this. Is the contagion rate higher or lower? I don't know. Is the mortality rate a little higher? I think so, but it may also be that because it's so new, a lot of people that have caught the coronavirus never reported it.
Yeah.
Because some people get the coronavirus and some people get the flu and they're just fine. It's like a day or two of sniffles, but there are people that are dying, and so that's bad. But the scale so far is nothing compared to influenza.
Regular flu, right? So it's like, as of right now, you should be more, if you want to, create a hierarchy of concern. The regular flu that you get every year is going to be up there more so than coronavirus, at least at this point of recording. Again, like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but.
And I just recently read that almost all face masks that people are buying and wearing won't actually help.
Yeah, well, because
there's that. But what happens next? I don't know what happens in the stock market, but what I do know based on history is that in the long run, the stock market makes 10%. And matter of fact, for someone like you, right? You're a couple years out of college.
Sure.
If the market falls 50% and stays depressed for a decade, that might be the best thing that could ever happen for you.
Oh, well, look at that.
Because you're buying on sale. And you pile in money after money after money, and then it gets fixed and corrected and goes up a whole lot after you've had a chance to put in a pile of money. So if you're a young investor or a new investor, the market going down could be the best thing that has ever happened in your lifetime. If you're close to retirement, if all of your money is in the stock market, this could be a serious fucking problem. So the idea then is to have a proper portfolio design where you have different types of investments. As an example, really safe and secure U.S. government bonds last year made about 4%, 5% when the market went up 31%. And I even had a couple of clients call me and say, why do I have 20% or 30% of my money making 3 or 4% when the stock market went up 31%? I said, well, if I knew a year in advance that the market was going to go up 31%, you wouldn't have any bonds, but I don't have that knowledge. So we design a portfolio. I'm curious, I should call some of those people and ask them now, does a 3% annual return look great now that the market's gone down 15% in a week?
So, I don't know.
Hindsight is really easy to predict.
I'm glad to hear that there is one financial benefit to being my age now.
Absolutely.
Which is great, because most of it isn't, right?
Because retirement and portfolios, when you use particularly index funds or you follow the markets and you keep your costs and taxes low, the single biggest predictor of your success is asset allocation. In the long run, stocks do better than bonds, as an example. The next most important thing is expenses, keeping your expense ratios down, keeping your trading costs down, keeping your taxes down. And, of course, the other thing that is hugely important is time.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You have time, dude. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Like, in case something weird happens. But
climate change, coronavirus, a couple of things there that could affect that. But, in general.
But it's when someone calls me and they're 57 and they tell me that they just helped pay for their 4th child to go to college for free for the kids, and they're 57 and they're ready to start saving for retirement. And they say, I'm ready, Phil, let's go. And I said, what do you think of prayer? Because if you're just starting now, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough.
Well, you learn something new every week on Truth Wanted, folks. Start your retirement plan now.
Start early.
It is.
The other thing is that maybe at your age, 10% would work, but the normal guideline is people are told to save 10%. I tell people to save 20%. If you're not saving 20%, you're not saving enough. You got to get the 20%. With 20%, you can probably retire when you want to. You can skip a year or two if something comes up. But if you're saving 10%, it's likely the math is not going to work out and you're going to have to cut something in retirement.
Well, more financial advice for free on this show. If you want some more, you definitely check out some of...
And it's all free on my show, too.
Yeah, free on his show. We should make that clear. Your show is free. You do have financial planning services that you offer to people and stuff. And so, if you're interested